Welcome to the Blue Dolphin News Network.
I'm Mason.
And I'm Layla. Please stand for the flag salute. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now our school motto. Be safe, live responsibly, understand, respect, and encourage each other. Go Blue Dolphins! You may be seated.
Birthday celebrations.
Hello, amazing human beings. I am so excited to be here with you today. We have been going over, we've had some time off, right? Which I hope you really got to enjoy your weekend and your long weekend, your Monday off for President's Day. And we've had quite an eventful week. We've been able to come back. We're also celebrating Black History Month. So that's also a very exciting thing as well. Today, we're going to be focusing on a book based on Michael Jordan. He is a person who really reminds me of the word persistence and hard work. He always made sure he loved basketball, right? So he always made sure that he practiced, right? And a lot of times when we love something and there's something that we want to follow or a dream that we have, you have to make sure that you put in that hard work to make sure that you achieve it. So that's what today's message is today, about making sure that you persevere and you do your best. You always give your best. And that means that you give your best when you're in school, showing up every single day, because that's part of your hard work. Something like basketball, something that he loved, he made sure not only he achieved in school, but he achieved in basketball as well. And that required practice, that required being committed to making sure that he always followed his dream. So let's get started with the book because it is a little long. And it is called Salt in His Shoes.
Aloud. Today's story is titled Salt in His Shoes. Michael Jordan in Pursuit of a Dream by Dolores Jordan with Rosalind M. Jordan, illustrated by Kadir Nelson. I hope that you enjoy this amazing story. Michael loved to play basketball. Every Saturday, he followed his older brothers, Larry and Ronnie, to the park, hoping that they would let him play. And if one of the guys who usually played with them didn't show, they always did. But there was one problem. His name was Mark, and he was the tallest boy on the court. "What's the matter, Mikey? Too short?" Mark flapped his arms in Michael's face. "Over here," shouted Larry. But when Michael threw the ball, Mark's long arms came out of nowhere and knocked the ball away. It flew into the hands of a player on Mark's team. He made the basket, and the game was over, just like that. "I'm really sorry, guys. If I were taller, that wouldn't have happened." All the way home, Michael apologized, even though no one was mad at him. His oldest brother, Ronnie, tried to cheer him up. "Look, little brother, you played good today. Don't worry, we'll win the next time." When they got home, Michael went into the kitchen where Mama was cooking dinner. He was still disappointed, and she could tell. "You guys lost again today, huh?" Michael nodded. He sat quietly for a minute and then said, "Mama, how can I grow taller?" Now, Mama knew the answer to a lot of questions, but this was a tough one. She thought for a moment as she sprinkled salt and pepper on the chicken she was making for dinner. Then she smiled, looked at Michael, and said, "Salt." "Salt?" Michael looked at his mama. "Salt in your shoes. We'll put salt in your shoes and say a prayer every night. Before you know it, you'll be taller," she replied. "Salt in my shoes," Michael said quietly to himself. Surely Mama was teasing. He sat staring out of the window, trying to figure out how salt was going to help him grow. He noticed the rose bushes outside in Mama's garden. They had grown high along the fence, and roses of all colors were blooming on the vines. He thought to himself, I remember when Mama first planted those bushes. Michael's face lit up. If Mama knows how to make those rose bushes grow taller, then maybe she's right. Maybe salt in my shoes really will help me grow. Growing more excited, Michael twirled around and started asking lots of questions. Mama, how long will it take? And how tall do you think I'll get? Smiling, Mama sat down next to him and explained, in order for this to work, the most important things you have to do are be patient and listen to what I tell you and say your prayers every night. Listening carefully, Michael shook his head. Okay, Mama, I'll be patient. But what does saying my prayers have to do with it? Everything, Mama replied, and she hugged him. Now go wash up and tell your brothers and sister to get ready for dinner. Michael dashed out of the kitchen, almost knocking over his father, who was walking in. What's he up to now? Asked Daddy. Oh, the usual, laughed Mama, chasing a dream. Later, during dinner, Mama noticed that Michael was barely eating anything. He was already daydreaming about being taller. Michael, first things first. You won't grow if you don't eat, especially your vegetables, Mama said. But I'm not really hungry, he said. Raising her eyebrows, Mama gave him a stern look. Slowly, Michael picked up his fork and began to eat. Minutes later, his plate was clean and he was asking for more. That evening at bedtime, Michael set his favorite game shoes on the floor next to the growth chart hanging on the wall. Then he put on his pajamas, said his prayers, and jumped into bed. When Mama came in, Michael was fast asleep. By the look on his face, she could tell he was already playing basketball in his dreams. Standing by his bed, Mama sprinkled salt in his shoes. Then she prayed quietly over him as she did all of her.
Now streaming. I'm not supposed to be here. Can you help me get back?
Why? Ruth is boring.
Sorry for the commercial.
Joys of life like pizza.
Her children. Dear God, please help Michael to be the best he can be and to give his best in all that he does. And Lord, could you please make him just a little bit taller tomorrow than he is today? Thank you. Amen. After that night, Michael wore his favorite game shoes everywhere. He went even to church. And he stopped going to the park with his brothers on Saturdays. Instead, he stayed home and practiced. He wanted to grow a few more inches before he went back to the park. After 2 months of practicing and waiting patiently and praying, Michael stood next to the growth chart on his wall. Nothing. He hadn't grown an inch. He was disappointed, but he did not stop believing. I've just got to give it more time, like Mama said, Michael thought to himself, and that's what he did. 2 more months of practicing went by, and still nothing. Now, Michael was becoming a little sad. Not only had he not grown 1 inch, but he also missed playing basketball with Larry and Ronnie. About the only thing he didn't miss was being picked on by Mark. When the next Saturday came, his brothers tried to get Michael to go with them to the park, but he wouldn't budge. Mama had begun to worry. When she saw Michael sitting alone on the steps, she said to Daddy, maybe you should go out and talk to him. So Daddy went out and sat with Michael. What's wrong, son? You haven't gone to the park with your brothers for a while now. Are you okay? Michael didn't say anything at first. Then he looked at Daddy and said, I thought I would at least be a few inches taller by now. I did everything Mama told me to do, but nothing's happened. Michael, why do you want to be taller? Daddy asked. If I were taller, I'd be a great player and I could help our team win, Michael answered. But you are a great player, son, and you already have everything it takes to be a winner right here. Daddy tapped Michael on his chest. Being taller may help you play a little better, but not as much as practice, determination, and giving your best will. Those are the things that make you a real winner. Michael thought about what Daddy said for a minute. Then, suddenly, He jumped up and took off. Where are you going? Daddy yelled after him. I've got a game today and I'm late, Michael yelled back. When Michael reached the park, the game had started. He sat on the bench, hoping he would get a chance to play. And he did. The game was almost over, and the score was tied when John, one of the guys on Michael's team, fell and hurt himself. Here was Michael's chance. Michael joined his team in the huddle as they gathered on the sidelines for a timeout. Okay, the game is tied. All we need is 1 point. Who wants to take the shot? Ronnie asked. He looked in Michael's direction. Feeling more confident than ever, Michael said, I'll do it. When the whistle blew and the game began again, Mark began to pick on Michael as usual. Still trying to play with the big boys, huh? Mark taunted. But Michael paid him no attention. Taller or not, he had been practicing, and today he was determined to win. Larry threw the ball inbounds to Michael. Michael caught it, bounced it for a moment, and then took off running. As he approached Mark, Michael shifted to his right. Mark followed, but while he was still shifting, Michael spun to his left, stepped behind Mark, and shot. The ball arched far above his opponent's hands and fell silently through the hoop. 2 points. The game was over. Michael's team had won. It was just as Michael had dreamed when he realized what he had done. Michael took off running and didn't stop until he reached home. Bursting through the door, he shouted, I did it, Daddy. I did it. I shot right over the tall guy's head and we won the game. Running in behind him, Ronnie and Larry joined the celebration. That's right, little brother. You did it. You won the game for us. Michael remembered the look that Ronnie gave him during the last timeout of the game and said, no, we won the game, but I was the star. They all laughed. After that, Mama stopped putting salt in Michael's shoes. But Michael did not stop being patient and working hard and praying. So that must be what made Michael grow to be a 6'6" tall basketball superstar.
I love the story about determination, about following your dreams, about not giving up, right? He didn't let his height determine whether or not he was going to be successful. And with that height significant of is something in your life. There's sometimes something in your life that you may tell yourself and say, oh, because of this, I can't achieve this. Make sure you know that you have to take that out of your mind and know that you can achieve it, but it's going to take hard work. It's going to take practice. It's going to take perseverance. Remember that we are celebrating Random Acts of Kindness Week. And all that means is, for those that were in our group counseling session yesterday, we spoke about kindness. We spoke about what that looks like and how you can do that, right? We spoke about just something small, right? Because that can really affect someone and then they can continue to spread that love and kindness. So make sure that you do something kind for someone and you smile and you have an amazing day. I'll see you soon.